So the opening fixture then this week, and the early Saturday kick-off was at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea at home to Spurs. Team news then, Giroud was in from the start for Chelsea. Abraham still recovering from his injury, although he was on the bench. William was there with him, and Loftus-Cheek also. Hadn't seen him all season. Spurs, Marino chose to put Dele and Lamela on the bench. Bergwijn starting again up front. First 7 or 8 minutes pretty fragmented. First chance on 10 minutes. Lucas strike from the edge of the box, but Caballero was up to it. He pushed it wide into a safe area, but Chelsea, poor defensive clearance really set that up. 11 minutes on the break, Mount put the ball into the near post, and Lloris managed to get it clear for a corner, but from the corner Giroud connected with a header which hit Davis fortunately and went wide. 13 minutes, half chance for Barkley, and it just whistled wide. And then the breakthrough on 14 minutes, Chelsea got the ball up to Giroud, whose first effort hit Lloris's legs, and it rebounded back to Barkley, whose follow-up hit the bar and then returned favourably to Giroud again, and this time he connected with a sweet left foot shot inside the near post, and Chelsea were 1-up. 37 minutes, Moura had another effort deflected over the bar after some nice link-up, but Chelsea were definitely bossing things. And then on 35 minutes, a rather strange incident. Alderweireld whipped a ball 30 yards from defence to looking for Bergwijn, and his poor control as he ran through heading towards the box, his poor control caught Caballero by surprise, who had advanced out of his box, but fortunately the ball headed towards the goal but went agonisingly a couple of metres wide, which was good fortune for Chelsea's keeper. So that was about it. That was half time with Chelsea 1-up. So to second half action then, and within a few minutes Chelsea, who had been really the better team, doubled their lead. It was a great goal as well, a great team goal, and it involved Mount, who found Barkley, and he touched the ball to the advancing Alonso on the left on an overlap, and he hit a sweet drive that found the corner, and so that was 2-0 for Chelsea. A few minutes later Barkley could have made it 3, but Lloris managed to push the effort around the post. Then on 51 metres, a very unsatisfactory incident involving Lesoso, who managed to stamp on Azpilicueta's calf. It was repeatedly showed on video and went to VAR, but unbelievably nothing happened. We were all expecting a red card, and it really did look bad, but he got away with it. So it remained 11 versus 11. On the hour though, Spurs were definitely lacking a cutting edge, and their play was very negative considering they were 2 down. They had brought Lamela on, and he made a bit of a difference. He had a free kick 25 years out, which hit the wall. Abraham replaced Giroud on 70, and he looked lively, and he could have made it 3 on 78 when he connected to a great Mount cross, but it was just deflected wide by Lloris. That was about it really. Chelsea far too good for Spurs. Worrying signs for Spurs, to be frank. And Mourinho is starting to develop a similar sort of comment at full time when he's lost as he did at United, and his type of play that he's putting onto the pitch is really not going to find any friends. So anyway, on 88 minutes they did get a consolation goal. I almost forgot that, and this resulted from a massive deflection from a Lamela cross that hit Rudiger. So that was 88 minutes. So the final score was in fact Chelsea 2, Spurs 1. So to the late game on Saturday then. This was second place Manchester City visiting the King Power Stadium to face third place Leicester. Leicester had a couple of changes. Fuchs was in at left back, but Chilwell was also playing. Rotation. For Manchester City, pretty much rotation as usual, but looking a very strong outfit as they always are. Early action. Well, Tielemans did manage to put Vardy through, who his effort hit the post, but that was about as good as it got for Leicester. The rest of the half, City having the edge. 17 minutes, Gundogan effort found Schmeichel's legs after a neat setup by Aguero, but he could have done better really. Maddison had a free kick from 30 yards. Ederson palmed it away easily. And then there was an incident involving Ederson and Iniacho as they both went for a ball. It looked a little bit iffy, but VAR considered it a fair challenge, although Iniacho had to leave the field. It was mainly the collision with the ground, and he did get his head to it. But that was about it. Half time then goalless. Into the second half, and Gundogan again, a fierce shot this time, and it was hit Pratt's arm. After consultation, the referee awarded a penalty, VAR instruction, and Aguero stepped up, but his kick wasn't the best, and Schmeichel saved it with his legs. And in fact, penalty kicks have not been that favourable for Manchester City. They've now missed 5 out of the last 7. 75 minutes. There was a good move by City, on 75 minutes, a rare move by Leicester, and Pereira's effort went just over. The game, good on the eye, but lacking in clear-cut chances, to be frank. But finally, after they replaced Aguero and put Jesus on, he made a difference, and he, after some good work by Mahrez, who's probably been their best player, he ran from his own half into the heart of the Leicester half, and his layoff was perfect to Jesus, whose near post shot went past Schmeichel, and that was 1-0. That basically was about it. There wasn't a grievance about a handball for Leicester in the first half from a free kick which hit De Bruyne's arm, but that wasn't awarded. But it was certainly a subject of debate by Rodgers in interview. But on the balance of play, City just about deserved it. So a bit of a disappointing game, I felt. But the final score at the King Power Stadium was Leicester 0, Manchester City 1. So to Bramall Lane and Sheffield United at home to Brighton. The Blades are 1 point off 5th, and after their initial target was, of course, to remain in the league, now it's quite clear that they should be targeting Europe. What a fantastic season Wilder has done with this team, who on the face of it lacked any stars whatsoever, but they have been so cohesive and fully deserved of their high position. For Brighton, well, winless in 6 games, but they did bring back Mope,
to spearhead their attack. But in the early stages, it was Sheffield United on top. Bulldog had crossed the ball on 26 minutes, and it came through to Stevens on the edge of the box, just inside the box, and it was headed clear to him, and he connected with his left foot, and it went like a rocket past Ryan into the net, and that was 1-0 for the Blaze. 30 minutes though, just a few minutes later, a set piece on the left, and a delightful through ball found Mope, who headed it past the keeper to level things at 1-1. Into the second half, bit disappointing. The Blades probably edged it, but Ryan was pretty strong. Norwood found Burnley, but Ryan kept it out. A flex strike went a metre wide, and a final effort from McBurney was saved by Ryan late on. Brighton didn't do much in attack, but they were pretty strong in defence. So we got to the final whistle, honours even then. Full-time score at Bramall Lane. Sheffield United 1, Brighton 1. So, Southampton at home to Villa, Aston Villa. Now, Aston Villa, of course, looking forward to next week's EFL Carabao Cup final against the holders Manchester City. So their players would have been playing for the places in that team, one would have assumed. Mings was back after a slight knock at the heart of the Villa defence. And Drinkwater back on the bench. His performance last time out was pretty poor, seemed to lack thickness really, and they've got the worst defence in the division, so obviously Smith looking for an improvement there. Mind you, Southampton's home form is also pretty poor, and they were without Redmond, although Ings was making his 100th appearance in the Premier League. And Southampton's got the worst home form in the league. So on that note, let's get to the action. Well, it was all Southampton really in the early stages. Villa's defence was woeful. They were reliant on Mings, who made at least 3 clearing headers to thwart Southampton's attack. So pretty pleased he had come back. A couple of free kicks for Ward-Prowse, and he's lethal on those. But anyway, they were also had Smallbone making his debut, and he had an effort from distance on 6 minutes that was deflected onto the post. And then on 7 minutes, finally, after a lot of pressure, Southampton took the lead. This followed a cross from the left from Ginepri, and Long squeezed in ahead of the defender, and it sort of hit his knee, come thigh, and Rayner was a little bit slow, and it sneaked in at that near post, and so they were 1 up. 12 minutes, some all great skill by Ginepri, who was looking a threat every time he got the ball. He found Bertram, but Bertram's effort went wide. Grealish, well, he was getting on the ball, but Southampton had already done their homework on him, and he was surrounded by 2, sometimes 3 Southampton players to neutralise his impact. And a couple of times Ward-Prowse was a bit heavy-handed, but Grealish was not in the game really for the first half hour. Another good save from Rayner though on 18 denied Villa's second, this time from Ings, and there were a few more half chances, but the Villa defence rode their luck. On 37 minutes though, they did manage to get the ball in the net. A neat pass by Grealish set up Samatta, but his goal was chalked off. He was well offside. So 1-0 at the break, should have been more. Second half, 58 minutes, Armstrong at the byline after another bit of a defensive hesitancy, but somehow they managed to get it away. Rayner got himself in a bit of a mess out of his area, but he recovered to deny the Giannetti effort. The second half was a bit of a disappointment, but really Villa didn't do anything to suggest that they were going to get back in the match. And although they pushed people forward as we approached full time, they got caught out. Rayner came up in the 95th minute to attack a corner. It was cleared, and a long ball was kicked upfield, and Armstrong had the legs to get onto it, and he had an open goal, and he slotted it in the corner, and that was it. Full time then at St Mary's. Comfortable win in the end for Southampton. They won this game by 2-0. So to more than Burnley at home to Bournemouth. Crucial game for the Cherries. Vidra was retained up front for Burnley. Wood now out with an injury. King came back for the Cherries. Cook was on the bench. A couple of early saves, one at each end. Pope from Callum Wilson and Ramsdale from Vidra. But on 21 minutes, following a corner, Billing met the corner, and it seemed to come off his shoulder. King anticipating, flicked the ball past the keeper, and then VR disallowed it for a handball. It looked a bit dubious, but that was about it by the time we got to the break. So it was goalless at half time, but that incident was particularly galling for manager Eddie Howe by the time we got to full time. Into the second half then, and Vidra on 53 minutes, working extremely hard, came in from the left, and his strike was far too good for Ramsdale, so second in 2 games for him, and Burnley won up. There was then there was a really interesting incident that changed the whole match. Basically, Burnley were on the attack, and the ball appeared to collide with a Bournemouth defender, and again it looked like shoulder. The ball then was hoofed upfield, and a smart interchange by Bournemouth, the two Wilsons linking up, and eventually Harry Wilson scored a really good goal to equalise, and that made it 1-1. But then there was a VAR check on the incident that happened back in the Bournemouth penalty box, and they had judged it to be a handball. So Bournemouth's equaliser was chalked off, and Rodriguez stepped up and slotted home the penalty to put Burnley 2 up. Well, after that, really, it took the wind out of Bournemouth, and it was no surprise when on 87 minutes McNeil had become ever more dangerous. He'd already hit a post earlier, hit a strike after running into the box to complete a 3-0 win for Burnley. But it has to be said that shoulder decision changed the whole game, and Eddie Howe brought that to our attention, as long as the other goal, as long as the goal that was denied earlier on for his team. So final score then at Burnley. So Selhurst Park then, Crystal Palace at home to Newcastle. Both sides are in relatively comfortable area, although they've got to be careful, particularly Newcastle, but they are a few points away from the drop zone. But Benteke was retained up front for Palace alongside Ayew and Zaha. Newcastle's front three much the same, but they still aren't scoring, firing blanks, particularly Joe Linton. Almiron, his promise a while back was dried up, and St Maximum. Into the action, Dubrovka had to be on guard.
He denied a Cahill header early on. Up the other end, Benteke latched onto a loose ball, but his effort was blocked by Gaeta, and then Dubravka again denying Dan's header from inside the penalty area. It was a pretty disappointing first half, but the deadlock was broken on 44 minutes when Palace got a free kick outside the box, and Van Aanholt with a great strike hit the upper corner, and so Newcastle had finally conceded, and Palace went into the break 1-0. Into the second half, a half chance for Ayew, but he put it just wide. Zaha came on for Newcastle and had an effort from distance, but Gaeta was good enough to steer it wide and behind. And then a chance for Palace to double their lead. Great run by Zaha, a couple of men, and his cross found Ayew, whose shot went inches wide. And that was really about it. Pretty disappointing show by Newcastle. Saint-Maximin looked lively, but nothing substantial. Got to the whistle then. Crystal Palace won the game by 1-0.